Hello and welcome to Common Sense TV. I'm your host, the Doctor of Common Sense, E.T. Williams.
Common sense, my well-toned and shapely hiney. You're making a video while driving. You're gonna kill somebody. Knock that shit off. Let's do this.
You know, the homosexual community and the gay community are constantly comparing themselves to the civil rights movement. This is quite insulting to me for the homosexuals to constantly compare themselves to the civil rights movement. Because the last time I checked, I don't remember anybody telling the homosexuals, go to the back of the bus because you're gay.
Really? That's the standard? So when Matthew Shepard was beaten and left to die tied to a fence post in the freezing cold, he wasn't being discriminated against because he happened to be gay. But when you're told, move to the back of some public transportation and ride behind everybody else, and then get off of that public transportation, now you're being discriminated against. But, you know, being beaten and killed because you happen to prefer someone of the same sex instead of the opposite sex, well, that wasn't discrimination. Hell no, you don't have rights to fight for. Not at all. Apparently. Sure. Alright. Yeah, I'm starting to see the picture here.
I don't remember anybody saying, go out back because you can't come to the front of the restaurant because you're gay.
Did you know that in 29 states it is still legal to fire somebody from their job for being homosexual? In how many states can you fire somebody for being black, pal? I
don't remember anybody telling the homosexual community, you can't attend this school because you're gay.
Oh, really? Well, how about an article from just a couple of days ago in the New York Times? Backed by state money, Georgia scholarships go to schools barring gays. Link down in the crotch bar. Just saying.
I don't remember anybody sicking dogs on homosexuals because they were homosexual.
Dogs? Maybe, maybe not. But certainly the police from time to time. That's happened.
I don't remember anybody refusing to let you learn and read because you are gay.
Listen, pal. Nobody's trying to say that blacks haven't had it tough over the years. Of course they have. That's a gross understatement. But the fact is that gays have been discriminated against, have been beaten. That's happened. And it's pretty clear from the rest of your video, which we'll get to, that you have some pretty obvious problems with the concept of homosexuality, that you have some pretty rampant homophobia. And as much as you don't want to hear this, there are black homosexuals. Yeah, they exist. But the fact is that there are obvious parallels between the black civil rights movement and the gay civil rights movement. And the fact that you don't want to acknowledge this, that you don't seem to see this, is, I'm sorry, pretty ignorant on your part. Sorry, pal, that's just all there is to it.
Stop it, please, homosexual community. Stop comparing yourself to the civil rights movement. I don't give a damn what Jesse Jackson or any other clown who wants to be some kind of poverty pimp tells you. You were not born gay. You were born a little mixed up, maybe. You may be mixed up about who you are, but there's help for you, and it has nothing to do with you being born gay.
Not born gay? Really? So you think I chose to be a lesbian? Okay, sure. Right. So I chose to be hated and reviled by a large portion of this planet. You think I chose to only be able to fall in love with 8 to 15% of this planet? No, wait, chop that in half because they also have to be female. Sure. I'd buy that for $1. I also chose to be left-handed. Pull the other one.
Stop comparing yourself to the civil rights movement. Just as soon as somebody sees a black person, they immediately know that they're black. When you look at a homosexual, you don't know immediately that they're a homosexual. Nobody discriminated against you because white homosexuals were not discriminated against.
So the fuck what if you can't tell right away whether or not someone's a homosexual? When someone finds out you're homosexual, they're gonna start the discrimination. That will happen. And bullshit, white homosexuals are not discriminated against. Of course they are. Happens all the time. This is a complete and total red herring.
So stop comparing yourself to the civil rights movement.
No.
This is all based on, they say they want the same rights. They want same-sex marriage to be identified as the same as traditional marriage.
Oh, it's a lot more than that. You remember those states I mentioned where you can still get fired for being gay? You remember folks like Matthew Shepard who get beaten to death for being gay? We'd kinda like you asshole homophobic bigots to knock that shit off too. Just saying.
But there are definitions of marriage. And the definition of marriage is between a man and a woman.
That's just one example of a definition of marriage. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess you're probably religious, but even if you're not, well, if you look in the Bible, you can find marriage being defined in a lot of different ways. You can find a woman being forced to marry her rapist. You can find a man being married to a woman and her slaves. You can find a man being married to a woman and his slaves. You can find a man marrying hundreds upon hundreds of concubines. You can find all kinds of things. You can find a man being married to prisoners of war. It's just crazy the different kinds of marriages you can find. It's just insane. And that's only in the Bible. If you look around the world, yeah, you can find all sorts of different kinds of marriages. It's not just between a man and a woman. And we already now have states where men are marrying men and women are marrying women. Get over it! Sorry, pal. Like it or not, gay marriage is on its way. It's happening. Cope.
I know this gets you upset, but it is what it is. Because if we start allowing and changing the definition of marriage, who's to say that two best friends can't get married just for the simple fact they want to get better health care also? How can we discriminate against them? They can say, yeah, we're gay, we're best friends, and we want to be able to get health care coverage. Same benefits because we're best friends. Even if they don't say they're gay, they should be able to get the same rights. Because how can you discriminate against two best friends? How can you say marriage is not between two best friends? We could easily argue the case that marriage can be between two best friends. How are you to argue against that?
So what? Now you're the love police? You're the one in charge of making sure that everybody's actually in love before they get hitched? Is that it? You want to check and make sure, no, you two aren't actually in love, so you can't get married? Is that it? Because, well, I know plenty of people who probably shouldn't have gotten hitched before they were married, but they were straight. I'm just not sure about your logic here, pal.
How can we stop a man from having 3 wives? Because if you're going to redefine marriage, if you're telling me that marriage is not between a man and a woman, who is going to define marriage to me? Because if you're going to define marriage as man and man and woman, who's to argue the fact that I say marriage is between 1 man and 5 women?
Probably the other 4 women, frankly.
How you going to discriminate against me? You see how illogical it starts getting when you start making arguments that there is no definition of marriage and that the same sex should have the same marriage, same benefits as heterosexual couples. You have to define certain things or did you come up with all chaos?
So explain something to me then. Why do we have heterosexual marriage at all? Why doesn't that lead to complete chaos? I mean, why bother? It seems to me that if we have two people of any configuration, man and man, woman and woman, man and woman, and have that be the stopping point, well, then it should be perfectly fine. I mean, that won't lead to chaos, will it? It seems to me that you just have a problem with homosexuality. That really is what it comes down to, is you've got some homophobia going on. You just don't like the concept of homosexuality. That bugs you for some reason. And that is why you're arguing against this. That really is it, isn't it? After all, if you didn't think that homosexuality were bad for some reason, you would have no problem with gays getting equal rights. You'd say, okay, fine, we'll allow that, and then that'll be the stopping point. You'd be perfectly fine with that. But no, you're arguing against equal rights for homosexuals. Why? I mean, why would you think that homosexual rights would lead to complete chaos? Why couldn't you see that as the stopping point? Wouldn't that seem perfectly logical, perfectly reasonable? But apparently not. Apparently you think this opens the floodgates to complete and total pandemonium. It doesn't make sense. Unless you hate the gay. Just saying.
Stop with the civil rights argument. Stop saying there is no definition between marriage, man and woman. I know this upsets you, but if we're going to define, if we're going to stop and say that, and we're going to allow that homosexuals to get married, you cannot discriminate against a man who wants to marry 3 women. You cannot discriminate against a man who wants to marry his best friend.
But if we're going to allow a man and woman to get married, we can't discriminate against anyone else either. There's no reason to say that a man and woman getting married has to be the only kind of marriage. No reason except you wanting it to be that way. None.
We're not going to sleep together. We're just going to get the benefits.
Wait a minute. Sleep with each other? Is that all you think that homosexuality is? Is, sleeping with each other? Is sex? Maybe part of the problem is that it has homosexual right in the word, right? Is the sex part. Maybe that's all you can hear, I don't know. But the fact is that I've had relationships, and some of them have been very, very close. Some of them have barely involved sex at all. Some of them have been pretty intensely sexual. But the fact of the matter is that I don't get into relationships with the idea of getting laid. I get into relationships for love. A lot of homosexuals do, and if I ever get married, it'll be because I want to spend the rest of my life with somebody. It'll be because she and I have found a connection. Because, I don't know, maybe we want to try to adopt a kid or something. And have a family, To really just meld our lives together. I don't know if you're equipped to understand that, to get it through your head meats. That homosexuals, that gays and lesbians aren't just about boinking. Do you even understand that? I don't know if you can. Because here you are talking about either it's about benefits or boning. That seems to be all you seem to be able to think about. Do you have a relationship? Do you have, a girlfriend or a wife? Are you just there to get laid? Really? Hell, maybe you are. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that marriage should not be just solely about sex.
Matter of fact, you should be able to marry your dog to get your dog benefit. That health coverage for dogs is pretty expensive. The dog may need an operation. So why can't you have a marriage between you and your dog?
Because a dog isn't capable of giving legal consent, you chowderhead. You're the one who claims to be all about common sense, too.
It's gotta stop somewhere. And the buck must stop here. Man and woman, get over yourself.
Why man and woman? Oh yeah, 'cause you're a homophobic bigot. Get over yourself.
I don't care how pissed off you get. I don't care how irritated you get. I don't care how many rallies you have or protests you have. Marriage is between man and woman. Get over it, damn it.
Well, I guess an oppressed minority never needed anybody else on their side, did they? Oh, wait. Well, I guess that's gratitude for you, huh? Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. Please take the time to rate this video. And hey, if you dig what I do, subscribe. And please visit my Zazzle store, where you'll find all kinds of BionicDance merchandise. If you don't like what I'm saying, there's a good chance you're the reason I'm saying it.